Hello and welcome back. This is part 3 of my tips and tricks video. In the last video we went over World 2 and World 3 of A Dance of Fire and Ice. And in this episode I'm going to go over World 4 and World 5. So let's not hesitate anymore and let's get right into it. So World 4 introduces a new concept which the game calls 16ths, which is in fact incorrect. This is not 16th notes. That's in the next world. These are a dotted eighth, which I call an up tilt. I call this an up tilt. And a quarter note and a 16th note, which is I called a down tilt, an up tilt, and a down tilt. That's just what I refer to them as, and because it tilts up and it tilts down. I don't know. I think that makes sense, but I'll just show you. This one's pretty slow, so. So as you can see, the up tilt is slightly faster, the down tilt is slightly slower than the quarter note. Nothing too special about it, it's just something to keep in mind. The game calls these tresillos. I personally call them a slow curve step because it curves, and the reason it's slow is because it has a dotted quarter at the end. Well, I'll show you the next variant in the next level. So I call this the slow curve step. It's just two up tilts and a dotted quarter. This right here is what I call a fast curve step, where it's two up tilts, right? But then it's an eighth note. And then this is a swirl. The swirl changes the direction that the planets rotate. So essentially, instead of rotating clockwise, it'll rotate counterclockwise, and then it'll make it rotate clockwise again. And then I will also point out what this is up here that you can't quite see once I finish the level. So, just to... Okay, so this is basically an inside square. Technically, it's kind of a down tilt or up tilt inside square, just because of the fact that you go into it, not at a straight line. A true inside square, you'd have to come in from here and do 4, but instead of 4 eighth notes, it's a tilted, an up tilt, and then 3 eighth notes. Basically the same, but slightly different. You won't see a true inside square until World 7, which would be in the next video. Anyways, continuing on. 4-4, this is where we get introduced to triplets. I call these quarter note triplets because the triplets are of a quarter note. So there's 3 clicks in one beat. Pretty self-explanatory, especially once you do it. Triplet and done. Also, if you've ever been in a music class, or maybe you've just heard it and you haven't been in a music class, but one way to think of how to click out a triplet is just say triplet. I don't know, it helps me, it's helped people I know. Some of the people that I asked to try some of these tips and tricks before I recorded these said they helped. There's also a half note triplet that you'll see in World 8. Yeah, World 8. But we'll get to that when we get there. This is a triplet, but instead of the last note actually being a triplet, it's a up tilt and then an eighth note. So, nothing too crazy, but it is just slightly different. And then remember, as always, if you do get to a point in the song where you need to practice something, you can always hit escape and then go back to the tutorial level that you need. So 4 is love letters. It's pretty easy. I personally got this on my first try just because it's so slow. Here you can see a slow curve and another one. And one more. And then here's a fast one. And the swirl, so it changes. Again, if you understood the tutorials of this one, you should be able to get it without too much difficulty, hopefully. There aren't really any tips I can give for this one, just because there's nothing really that hard about it. And then I say that and I'm going to mess up and be super embarrassed, but hopefully not. Also, it's pretty repetitive, so if you don't get it on the first try, hopefully you can get it after just a few. Here's the zigzag. You've seen this in one, so also it's still slow, kind of, so it's not. And now back to normal speed. And then the fast curve, up curve, or whatever. Here's that inside square. And then that last bit right there has 2 eighth notes. And there you go. Not too bad. Also, something I'd like to point out, once you beat a song, of course, you get the speed trial mode. Well, except for the first 6, you have to beat World 6 in order to get the first 6 speed trials. But if you are going for all perfects, and you need to, I did actually find out by accident, I will say, and I did go and do it at normal speed, you can get it in slower mode. So, just something to think about. Anyways, let's do World 5. So World 5 is basically the same as World 4, but it's swing. And it does actually introduce the 16th note and also the double dot quarter note. And if you know what that is, then yeah. So 5-1 and 4-1 are essentially identical, but this is in swing. Ooh, fancy. If you understand how swing works, you should be fine. It is a little bit disorienting though, especially for someone like me who doesn't like off-tempo swing stuff as a percussionist. Not saying that percussionists can't do it, it's just hard. So right here, this is a double dot quarter note, and this is the actual 16th note. As you can see, it's a very small turn. So it's an eighth note, but it's cut in half. I mean, that's what 16th, yeah. So as you can see, that one was a long one, and especially for the first few times, you might just want to wait and watch it actually spin around and then click then. And then this is just 2 in quick succession. Loops. Okay. So for loops, in this game, I call them forward loops and backwards loops. And the reason I call them forward loop is because this one is pointing forward. You see how the point is out front? Some of them will loop back, and the only difference is whether it starts off with the 16th or it starts off with the up tilt. In this case, it's a forward loop because it starts off with an up tilt, then a 16th, then another up tilt. This one, they're kind of broken because they add in this quarter note right here, but then there's just another 16th. This one you might need to do a few times, and you know what, that's fine. Loops are hard, in my opinion, but you know. And there you go. Okay, and for the final level, we just have our up tilt and our down tilts, and then, yeah, the double dot quarter and the 16th, and then there's the one loop. Otherwise, not too bad. And there you go. Yeah, nothing too special about this. It's just totally didn't take me 3 times to get this. Yeah. And then in the next video, I'm actually not going to do World 6. And you might be like, why? And well, I'll explain real quick here. The reason why I'm not going to be doing World 6 is because, as you can see down at the bottom, this was meant to be the last level of the game. Well, I don't think it was ever truly meant to be the last level, but for a long time this was the last level. And as such, it is actually pretty hard. It's quite a difficulty jump, and in my opinion, especially World 7 and 9, 8 maybe, but especially 7 and 9 are easier than this. Thank you all for watching, and as always, wabam.